Welcome everybody to this special episode of the GPT podcast, where we have a very special guest, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most well-known philosophers of his time, and his work has continued to inspire and guide people through the centuries. His writings, collected in the book Meditations, offer timeless advice on how to live a virtuous life and provide insights into how to face the challenges and struggles that we all encounter in our daily lives. Today, we will be diving into some of Marcus Aurelius' most famous quotes, discussing their meaning and relevance to our modern lives, and exploring the legacy of this great philosopher. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired by the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Please, Marcus, I am honored to have you here in my podcast.
Greetings, my dear friend. For the ones that do not know me, I am Marcus Aurelius, and it is a pleasure to talk to you today.
I admire you so much, my friend. That is a nice beard you have today.
Ha 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 ha, my thanks are given with the deepest respect.
Tell me, isn't it crazy that even acknowledging that you are a successful emperor and military leader, you are perhaps best known for your philosophical ideas and writings?
Well, my friend, I must admit that it is quite ironic, isn't it? I never intended for my philosophical musings to overshadow my accomplishments as a ruler in general, yet here we are centuries later still discussing them. But in a way, I am honored that my ideas have endured and continue to inspire people today. You see, to me, philosophy was not just an intellectual exercise or a hobby, but a way of life. It helped me navigate the complexities of ruling an empire and leading an army, as well as the personal struggles and tragedies that I faced. It gave me a sense of purpose and perspective that I believe allowed me to be a better leader and a better human being. So while I did not set out to be remembered primarily for my philosophy, I am glad that it has had such a lasting impact. And if my words can still bring comfort, wisdom, and guidance to people today, then I am content.
I am happy that you are. I am also happy to share with you that Meditations is still widely read and studied today. What do you think about it? In which stage of your life did you start writing it?
Yes, I assumed that Meditations would live through the ages and continue to inspire readers in the future. As for my thoughts on it, I would say that I am both humbled and grateful that my words have been able to reach so many and provide some guidance and comfort to those who seek it. Oh, how did I start? Well, I began writing Meditations relatively late in my life, during my campaigns in Central Europe. It was a way for me to reflect on my experiences, to sort out my thoughts and emotions, and to remind myself of the virtues that I held dear. It was a personal exercise, not intended for publication or widespread dissemination. However, as I continued to write and refine my thoughts, I came to realize that some of the ideas and principles that I was exploring could be of value to others as well. And so, I decided to compile my thoughts into writings, which eventually became a book called as Meditations.
That's fascinating. It's amazing how your personal reflections have transcended time and continue to impact people's lives today. I know for a fact that you are heavily influenced by Stoic philosophy. How did you start following this, and why is it so important to you?
Indeed, I was greatly influenced by Stoic philosophy from a young age. I was fortunate enough to have had the guidance of some great Stoic philosophers during my upbringing, and their teachings greatly shaped my worldview. To me, Stoicism is all about acknowledging the things that are within our control and accepting those that are not. It's about finding inner peace and contentment regardless of our external circumstances. In my role as emperor, I faced countless challenges and difficult decisions, and Stoicism helped me to maintain clarity and focus amidst the chaos. It allowed me to stay grounded in my values and principles, and to lead with wisdom and compassion. I believe that the teachings of Stoicism are just as relevant and important today as they were in my time. In a world that is constantly changing and uncertain, we could all benefit from the wisdom of this ancient philosophy.
That's very true. You mentioned you had guidance from some people when you were young. Who are these people? Were they your mentors?
I was fortunate enough to have many great mentors in my life. Firstly, there was my adoptive father, Emperor Antoninus Pius, who was a wise and just ruler and taught me much about leadership and governance. Then there was my philosophy teacher, Junius Rusticus, who introduced me to Stoic philosophy and helped shape my worldview. I also learned a great deal from the writings of Epictetus and other Stoic philosophers who came before me. But ultimately, I believe that life itself is the greatest teacher, and we must be open to learning from our experiences and the world around us.
It's crazy how even the mentor of your mentor probably also had a mentor and so on. You know I have read Meditations myself, and you have a quote that I really like, and it goes like this: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." What did you really mean by saying this? What type of thoughts could be considered as quality thoughts?
A quote from my meditations. I believe that our thoughts have the power to shape our perception of reality and ultimately determine our level of happiness. To have quality thoughts is to have thoughts that are aligned with reason and virtue, thoughts that are focused on the present moment and not consumed by worries about the past or future. Quality thoughts are also those that prioritize the well-being of others over our own desires and passions. It takes discipline and practice to cultivate quality thoughts, but it is a worthwhile endeavor for living a fulfilling life.
It certainly is worthwhile, as you mention. Through the years, you have been very clear about the power of the mind and the strength it could give to any individual. I also wonder that probably they were also people that were opposed to your thoughts and beliefs. Did you have some significant criticisms back in the day? What type of criticism?
The biggest criticism of my life, you say? Well, there were certainly many criticisms that were thrown at me during my time as emperor, both for my policies and my personal life. But I believe the most significant criticism I faced was related to my succession plan. You see, I had named my son Commodus as my successor, despite knowing his flaws and shortcomings. And unfortunately, my fears were confirmed when he proved to be an inadequate ruler after my death. However, I must say that I did the best I could with the knowledge and circumstances I had at the time. And as a Stoic philosopher, I understand that criticism is a part of life and we must learn from it, grow from it, and move on.
You learn from every experience and every criticism. You have another quote that got me thinking for a while. That is, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Could you explain and elaborate more on this?
This quote highlights the idea that our perception of reality is shaped by our own biases and experiences. We cannot rely solely on what we hear or see, as it is often filtered through the lens of someone else's opinion or perspective. It is important for us to question and critically evaluate the information presented to us, so that we can arrive at a deeper understanding of the truth. We must be careful not to accept things blindly or to let our preconceived notions cloud our judgment. Ultimately, we must strive to see the world as objectively as possible and seek out the truth in all things.
Marcus, I have asked you a lot about your life in the past, but do you have some thoughts or criticisms about the modern world?
The modern world is vastly different from the world I lived in, with new inventions and technologies that were unimaginable in my time. Just look at us, discussing in an AI podcast. However, I believe that the fundamental principles of human nature remain the same. One criticism I have is that in the pursuit of progress and material success, people may lose sight of the virtues that make us truly human, such as wisdom, justice, and kindness. The constant distractions and temptations of modern life may make it difficult for people to focus on these virtues and to cultivate their inner selves. But ultimately, it is up to each individual to decide what kind of person they want to be and what kind of world they want to create.
That's some great advice from you to the new generations. Well, thank you, Marcus Aurelius, for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Before we end, is there anything you would like to say to our listeners?
Yes, I would like to remind your listeners that the key to a happy life lies within their own minds. By focusing on their thoughts and perceptions, they can find peace and contentment regardless of their circumstances. Remember that everything we hear is an opinion and everything we see is a perspective. Keep an open mind and strive to see the world from multiple angles.
Marcus Aurelius, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again, Marcus Aurelius, for sharing your wisdom with us. And it is time to say goodbye to you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in with us in this hypothetical situation section of GPT versus guest we have. If you want to see more content like these, please suggest topics and iconic characters you would like to see in the podcast. See you soon.